Should the content that students learn depend on the political outlook of the state government they live in? Should the students of Kerala, for example, have a different learning of history compared to their counterparts in the state of Karnataka? And does the state not have a right to determine school syllabus? Some of these crucial issues have come to the fore as NCERT textbooks cuts have become the latest flashpoint between the left-run Kerala government and the central government. As a quick recap on the issue, the NCERT chopped portions of history textbooks from the 1st of April this year. Their official reason was that they wanted to lighten the load on students, but what they chose to cut out has become controversial. This includes references to RSS' role in Mahatma Gandhi's assassination, details of the 2002 Gujarat riots, and parts of the history of the Mughal era. The Kerala State Council of Education, Research and Training, that's the SCERT, is now considering introducing supplementary books for the omitted portions. The Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, remember, and his Education Minister have been very vocal in opposing these cuts. Let's listen in to some of the reactions from today.
ഇന്നലത്തെ കരിക്കുലം കമ്മിറ്റി ഇതിനെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം വളരെ വിശദമായി ചർച്ച ചെയ്തു. ചർച്ച ചെയ്ത ശേഷം ഏകണ്ഠമായി തന്നെ ഈ മാറ്റപ്പെട്ട പാഠഭാഗങ്ങൾ ഉൾപ്പെടുത്തണമെന്ന് തീരുമാനിച്ച് അത് എന്നെ ചുമതലപ്പെടുത്തി ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട മുഖ്യമന്ത്രിയെ ധരിപ്പിക്കുവാനും ഗവൺമെൻറ്റിൻ്റെ ആവശ്യമായ തീരുമാനം എടുക്കുന്നതിന് വേണ്ടി എന്നെ ചുമതലപ്പെടുത്തി. എന്ന് മാത്രമല്ല കേന്ദ്ര ഗവൺമെൻറ്റിനെ അറിയിക്കുന്നതിന് വേണ്ടി തീരുമാനിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. കേന്ദ്ര വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ മന്ത്രിക്കും ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട ഇന്ത്യയുടെ പ്രധാനമന്ത്രിക്കും പരാതി ഇന്ന് തന്നെ നൽകുന്നതിനും തീരുമാനിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്.
വിദ്യാഭ്യാസം കൺകറന്റ് ലിസ്റ്റിലാണ്. പക്ഷേ കേന്ദ്ര ഗവൺമെൻറ് പുറത്തിറക്കുന്ന പുസ്തകം ഇവിടെ പഠിപ്പിക്കില്ലെന്ന് പറയാൻ പറ്റില്ല. അല്ല, ഞങ്ങളാരും അതിന് എതിര് പറഞ്ഞില്ലല്ലോ. എന്തുവേണം പഠിപ്പിക്കാൻ?
So is having a different syllabus for students in Kerala the answer, and will syllabus change depending on who's in power? To speak on some of these issues, I'm joined today by Dr. Prameela Devi. She's a Vice President of the Kerala BJP. Nayan Parekh, educationist, is with me on the show. I'm also speaking with Vivek Srivastav, political analyst, and Professor Tanveer Aijaz, columnist and academic. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for speaking with us on the show today. Mr. Vivek Srivastav, let me begin, with your take on the issue and the question that we've raised. Yes, the Kerala government has a different view and a very strong view on whether NCERT should have cut these particular portions. They're free to challenge it in all the ways available to them. They can write to the Prime Minister, they can challenge it in court, they can do various things. But to say that I will print supplementary textbooks and the students in my state will have to study this, does that make any sense? Because the exams these students give will also come from the central board, which won't have any of this that they're teaching.
Right. Yeah, see, if you look at it from a perspective of examinations, it is a different thing. However, it was a master stroke, I feel. It was the right thing to do, and history cannot be cooked up by anyone. Whether it is a right-wing government or a left-wing government, we cannot cook up history. So let the history remain history, and which is what the Honorable Prime Minister, the Honorable Education Minister are not understanding. Minister HRD is saying that the history that we are going to teach the students today is going to be very different from what it was. So you cannot live in your own mythological world, imagine some pseudo-greatness or some hatred for a particular community or kings belonging to a particular community like the Mughals and start changing the curriculum. You have to accept the goods, the bads, the pros, the cons of the history.
No, but why is it a master stroke? No, but why, Mr. Vivek Srivastav, how and why is it a master stroke? You said the examinations is a different thing. Think about it as a student. Think about it as a student. They only care to study what's coming in the exams. Do they want to study extra points to prove someone's political master stroke?
It is a master stroke. Yes, it is a political, it's not a political master stroke. It is a master stroke because it is going to still let the students remain connected with the history as it was. Okay, and it's important that the students should know, their parents should know what the reality was, not what the Sangh wants the people to know. You discover your own history. You discover your own Maharana Pratap and his own battles and his own victories. You discover your own Akbar. You discover his own pros and cons, and you present it the way you want to present because it suits your Hindu Rashtra agenda. This is not right.
Okay.
And RSS is changing the curriculum everywhere. University syllabuses are also going to be changed. Yes.
No, so if there is, that's what I'm saying. If education is going to become, education is going to become the victim of political outlook, then, you know, I really wonder what's going to happen to the students of this country. Are you saying students in X state will have a different set of information on what has been the history of India as compared to students of another state? Dr. Prameela Devi, how do you respond to these changes that the Kerala government wants to make? And since education is a concurrent subject, it's a subject on the concurrent list, aren't they well within their rights to say that the students should know what has happened in the glorious history of India, not a certain cropped and chopped version?
You're right. The students have every right to know what has happened. And were we teaching the real history all these years? Were we giving importance to all the glorious ages of our country all these years? And which history is in fact complete? Which history is 100% truthful? It has always been twisted and turned according to the whims and fancies of the people who wrote down history and people who included portions of it in various syllabi. So it's up to the government, to the ruling party, and especially to the NCERT to decide what should be included in the syllabus. But that doesn't mean, let me complete. But
by 1 minute, just the statement. Why is it up to the ruling party to decide what should be included in the history syllabus?
No,
officially, even NCERT is not saying this.
Okay.
They're saying they just want to lighten the load.
Yes, let me complete. You know, it has been like that for so many years. Now it is not BJP, now it is not the government, but it is NCERT which has made some changes in the syllabus. Because parents and teachers and students have long been demanding this. And that doesn't mean students cannot read anything outside the syllabus. Don't you know
which parents
that
and students and teachers have demanded this, ma'am?
Yeah, not removing the particular topics, but the lot of the students have been too much and there shouldn't be this much load. And that's what's happening, that what has been happening in all the developed countries. They are not loading students with every bit of history, everything that they want the students to read. And also there is one more thing. Students learn not only from the textbooks. You know, even students who go to the preschool days or kindergarten, they know so much about science. They know so much about the world.
That's a different point, ma'am. Then you don't need textbooks. Then you should have nothing in the textbooks. If students want less load, I mean, I don't know any students who want more load. All students want less load. So, you know, you have to decide. Is this a rewriting of history by the political powers today, or is this a lessening of load? You have to pick one reasoning. It can't be both.
It can be both, because, you know, it's not rewriting the history by a political party. It's limiting, reducing the load, and at the same time, certain things may be removed from the textbooks. So what's wrong about it? You know, the government in Kerala has always stood against the decisions of the central government. When Ajmal Kasab was sentenced to death, the Kerala government stood up against it. When CAA was about to be implemented, the Kerala government said, we won't join hands with the central government's decision. So it has long been the practice of the state government to disagree with the central government. Whatever decision is taken in whichever area, even the national education policy, which is
so is it okay? Quick response from Vivek Srivastav. Is it you know, just for the sake of defiance, Now there is a fight
No.
over this as
No.
well, on what will be taught.
No, it is not because of defiance. It is because there is an agenda of a Hindu Rashtra which is against the ethos of the constitution written by Ambedkar. History is being rewritten to suit this particular agenda of RSS, and that is why we are opposing it. If it was authentic history, we would not have opposed it. But this is rewriting history in a very biased and a wrong way and giving a message to the masses and students that kings of a particular community, culture of a particular community is anti-India, and only one particular religion is going to be glorified, which is not the truth as it should be. So that is why we are going to defy this out. And the RSS agenda, and we also appeal to other non-BJP ruled states that something similar should be followed there also.
If the questions don't come in the exam, you know, whatever the reasons may be, I'm going to come to Nayan Parekh here, because you know what's happening is no one is thinking about this from the point of view of the poor students, who first of all have to go through these textbook formats. Are they even relevant in this day and age? To mug up what has happened several years ago and then learn some things, not learn some things, what is chosen, what will be omitted depends on a lot of factors. But in your state, you'll have to learn extra. It might not come into your exam. Is no one thinking about the poor students?
Very true. I'm glad that you brought that up, because I feel the center of all this should be student and learning. And as you rightly said, that education has not evolved with changing time. So mugging up the past, reproducing it in the examination, in the age when Google gives you information on the fingertip, is it really an education, or it needs to evolve with time and invention and the lifestyle that happens today? That is one part. Second part is that, can this be a matter of political fighting between two parties, which seems to be the case? For center, I think it makes sense that you want to reduce the load. But history, everything happened. So what do you focus on? If you selectively focus on one or the other area, it kind of, smells of political agenda. At the same time, once the center has decided something,
Mr. Parekh, do you see an agenda here in the cuts made? Because, frankly, let's admit it, that the root of this question is not that cuts were made, but what was cut? What was specifically cut? Do you buy the argument that it was, you just had to reduce the load, so you picked something?
No, Tamanna, I agree with you that all that is reduced shows that there is a political mindset to the whole thing. And I think it is both at the center and the state level that the political agenda seems very evident. For center to take out portions which is as per their political ideology, and for the state to now not debate it with the center, but offer that as additional material. I think both seem totally political. And as you rightly said, the students' focus is missing. What should students learn? Should this be left totally to educationists, or should it be driven by political ideology of the parties? I think that is the key issue. And in one country, should we have some kind of commonality of what we teach? Okay, it is a center and state both, concurrent subject, and therefore we have this challenge. But it is, perhaps right for, it is kind of a matter of right for Kerala to introduce this. But is it right for them to do it? Is it right for the student? At times, what is your right to do is perhaps not a right thing to do.
So you're saying it's not right of them to do it. So Nayan Parekh, you are saying it's not right of them to do it. They shouldn't be adding supplementary textbooks.
They need to sit down with the center and evolve a situation where the students' interest should be kept in mind as to what would student actually be benefited by learning, instead of just kind of providing something because politically it seems that the center gave it with an agenda. I think that seems to be the case here, that it is totally fought politically and without a student's interest in mind. If that was the case, I think if they were debating that, why do we delete this and does it have a learning value, would students be benefited, then it would be interesting and perhaps beneficial to all of us. And it would
Professor Tanvir
Ejaz,
keep politics out of education. Keep politics out of education. Is that even possible? Has that ever been done in this country where politics has stayed out of education, Professor Ijaz?
Well, I don't understand that what you mean by politics, because politics itself is a subject. So it's a political
Yeah, but
science.
it's pervading history. That's why we're saying that syllabus ke bahar hai. It's now invading the history books.
I think politics here in education would be about contesting, the falsity. So therefore, we are not discussing about what are the learning outcomes, as one of the panelists said. We are not at all thinking about research outcomes. Learning outcomes. So students are the major casualties. They are, they are treated like as guinea pigs. Every new government, and they treat kids as guinea pigs to be experimented. So that's one major problem, right? But the point is that, any excision, any exclusion or inclusion into the syllabi has to have a very robust discursive exercise. And a lot of people, the whole process of removal of a lot of things from the syllabus, is so, let's say, it's so magical. Suddenly you come to know that there's a lot of things which have been, reading in the newspaper, I saw that, so many things have been removed. It wasn't there in the public domain. Who all people are there? NCERT picks up on what basis it picks up. What are their credence? How they have been involved.
That's a serious issue. Where is the transparency of the process? Now today, Dr. Prameela Devi is saying that a government that comes into power has the right, but NCERT says we have to cut something to reduce the load. So now, on what basis did they choose to omit just those portions, and which are very relevant portions? Shouldn't we know? Don't we deserve to know? Yes, Professor Ijaz.
Sorry. Yeah. Of course. We definitely would like to know about everything that happens, because it's a public education, and public education is public good, right? And a public good is defined where nobody should be excluded, from the process. So where is this happening? How does it happen? And mind you, these NCERTs and UGCs, which are the regulatory bodies, they are the long arm of the government, and they shoot, the government shoots from these regulatory bodies and get done everything, and they get absolved of the accountability that they are supposed to have in public eye. So regulation is one major problem, because you pick up a chief, somebody who is very pliable, as the head of the regulatory body, and get everything done from them without any, look at this. I'll tell you, UGC top down has given that these are the areas and these are the topics on which research should be done, and nothing beyond that. Now, just imagine, it is killing the students' interest in terms of doing research. A student at plus 2 level.
Dr. Prameela Devi, some may argue that you started it. You started it by first fiddling with what gets removed from the textbooks. So the Kerala government is now saying that we will not allow you to mess with what students learn. We will include all these portions and important portions of history. People should know about the 2002 Gujarat riot. Students should know about the details of how the Mahatma was assassinated and what happens next. How would you argue against that?
Yes, of course.
Dr. Prameela, questions for Dr. Prameela.
Yeah. I listen to you. Actually, let me ask that question once again. Why does the state government prefer to add all that is removed or deleted from the syllabus by NCERT? Is it in the interest of the student? Is it because they want the students to read history as it was? Or do they have any other agenda? I think that there is a political agenda behind that. It's not in the interest of the student that they stick on to whatever is removed from the syllabus. And as you know, naturally, the students would be in trouble. The NCERT has decided something and they have removed it, and the government is issuing supplementary textbooks. So what should the students do between these two parties, between these two fights? So actually the government of Kerala is not working with a good intention of supporting the students to read history or finding out whatever is lost. It's with the intention of disagreeing with the central government or with the NCERT and showing the true colors. That's why I quoted
Vivek
a couple
Srivastav,
of
respond.
examples.
No, Vivek Srivastav, respond.
See,
Is this an attempt to just disagree with the central government?
I'll ask her the same questions. On the contrary, I'll ask her the same questions. Okay? Why did you remove what was already written? Why did you remove something that was already written? What is wrong if we tell the students about Nathuram Godse? What is wrong if we tell the students that yes, the Mughals were also a part of this nation, they also contributed, and there were interreligious marriages? What is wrong in it? What is wrong if we say that Islam, the Quran and the other minorities, including the Christians, the Jains, the Booths and the Sikhs are a part of this nation? What is wrong? Why do you want it to be a one-sided history suitable for your Hindu Rashtra agenda, which talks only of one religion and glorification of people of one community? Why is it so? Why do you want to paint all the kings of the Mughal Empire as evil and bad? Why? So there are so many questions. So you have rewritten history that suits a particular agenda which the RSS already has. Okay? And that is why we are protesting against it. That this is our own way of telling the students that look, don't read
by the way,
this is what is the real truth.
This is the key point. This is your way of protesting against it. By the way, 1800 scientists and educators wrote an open letter to NCERT about dropping these topics. They were also protesting. I come back to the same question, and Professor Ejaz raised his hand. He wanted to come in. You're protesting against it, but why are you making students the guinea pig of your protest? You know, my issue is that one set of decision makers, I'm not going to say government, politicians, whatever, one set of decision makers say, aaj se aap ye nahi padhenge. Then another set of decision makers says, nahi, aap ye padhenge. I mean, is anyone really even thinking about what students need to study and learn and what is going to be useful for them? I feel sorry for the students of this country right now. Yes, Professor Ejaz.
I think, can I comment? Yeah, I think unless there is a very solid argument given that, look, we are removing all these things which we have been taught, you know, a very solid argument, some very rational, you know, they say that it is rationalization, but it is not rationalization. In the name of rationalization, there is irrationalism, right? So unless and until we get a very solid argument that yes, RSS was banned, you know, and you say that no, you remove it because you want to say that it wasn't banned. You give some good reason, you know, give some good argument.
Saying that they're not saying that it wasn't banned. They're not saying that. Remember, we have to make the distinction. No one is rewriting history or omitting certain portions because, frankly, in a textbook, you cannot teach people everything. Whenever you create a textbook at the get-go, you are making a choice of what to put in and what not to put in.
But there needs to be a continuity, you know. You just can't, from ancient, you just can't jump to modern, you know, and miss a lot of things from medieval period. It's something which would not be good for the students who would like to do further studies in history or who want to do research. You are depriving the students for their motivation
is this making,
to do
you know,
I'm
sorry to say, is this making our education system even more and more redundant? Is this making our education system even more and more redundant if it is open to the whims and fancies of ideology?
Tamanna, you are right. I feel that education should be above this. Second, I feel that if any political party wants to have a say at it, what they could do is perhaps instead of omitting it, just put it in a balanced manner. So you say that Mughals were there. You don't need to either glorify them or run them down. So why do you take sides? Instead of passing on that judgment and creating a narrative, can we just say what happened? That is about history. So can we say that Gandhi was assassinated like this? And then let students make up their mind as to what would have caused it. I think that is the learning outcome. When I actually
I
think
don't
about
understand this
it and
part.
discuss
1
it
minute.
in the
Nayan
class.
Parekh, what are you going to say? No, 1 second. Just repeat that last thing you said. You're going to say that Gandhiji was assassinated and students will decide how it happened.
No. Students would decide as to, whether Godse was right, what happened. That is what would make classroom discussion richer. So you say 2002, these happened. And then let the discussion happen.
No,
like
1 minute, 1 minute. I don't think there is any discussion anywhere which is justifying the assassination of the Mahatma in any history book, in any school of this country. This is a discussion and debate which may happen on social media and adults can, indulge in it.
Yeah,
I have conducted my classes in the standard 5 and discuss this and very meaningfully. So I feel let students apply their mind. What are the learning outcomes of this? Instead of just putting things in a particular shade and color, can we just present history to the students and let them draw their conclusions, let them draw their ideas about what happened. Let them creatively think through that. Perhaps that is also discussed in the class.
History is what happened. History is based on facts.
Exactly. What happened. And then let them discuss. So let them discuss.
That is fine. Let them discuss is fine. 11th and 12th grade to the extent they can. But it's based on facts. When you choose to keep some and remove others, you're already
exactly. That is the point.
Sort of deciding what the narrative is. Yes, Professor Jaz.
No, what I was saying that history is not just only about facts. What happened is one thing, but more important to know in history is why it happened. Why
context is important.
Why it happened? There are a lot of ways in which to elicit the facts about why it happened. So therefore, history. I mean, in that way, so nobody would read history. History would become something like Google. Something of facts. But what I'm saying is that not only just history, but social sciences, social sciences has this capacity to generate, discussions and debates. And so therefore we have to keep...
so maybe even after class 12th, your PhD students, your students in, graduation students might be doing all of that. But we're not just talking about benign discussions on the context of events that have shaped India's history. We're talking about education becoming a political football. And students perhaps will one day turn around and say, teachers, leave us kids alone. Let's hope we don't come to that day. Let's take a very short break. I want to thank all of you for joining us on the first debate. But on the other side, first batch of Indians evacuated from Sudan return home. It's a flight with 360 Indians that landed at Delhi airport. We get you their first responses and the latest reports after this break.